Hey Trashers, my name is Candace and I am part of the TYB youth team, and this is the snapshot for the Gospel of Luke. You see, Luke is one of the four Gospels that you'll find in the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But you may be wondering, what exactly is a gospel? Well, the translation for the word gospel means good news, and so the Gospels are actually about the good news of Jesus Christ. And each gospel is recorded from a different perspective of each author, and then the authors went ahead and named the gospel after themselves, which I totally would have done the same thing. So you may be wondering, who is Luke? And Luke, he was actually a doctor. He was a companion and a traveling partner for the Apostle Paul, who is someone that we'll get to know in the book of Acts. And you see, Luke's gospel, he's actually all about what Jesus did and said. Luke's gospel is all about what Jesus did and said. And as Christians, we are followers of Jesus Christ, so it's really important that we know all about who we're following. So as you go throughout the Gospel of Luke, I highly recommend that you highlight everything that Jesus did and said to give you a better picture of who Jesus is. And one of the things you'll notice in Luke is that he recorded many parables that Jesus taught. And parables are essentially stories that Jesus used to illustrate a point, but he uses terms and events and characters that would be very familiar to people in that time. So it may be confusing for us today. However, think of it more like the parable of the lost coin would essentially be like the parable of the lost iPhone to us today. Fun fact is that Luke is not only the author of the Gospel of Luke, he's actually the author of the book of Acts. And if you have a look in Acts 1:1, you'll see that he actually writes in here, "In my former book." And so, as you can see, Luke actually intended Luke and Acts to be read all together. So you may be asking, why didn't he just keep them all together? Why are the two books divided? And in the first century, authors would often write on what is known as papyrus, which is a form of paper. And aside from being like insanely expensive, papyrus also limited you to 20,000 characters. And so when you look at the book of Luke, you'll see that it was actually 19,400 characters, and the book of Acts is 18,400 characters. So as you can see, Luke didn't have a choice. He just couldn't fit them all on one piece of papyrus. So really, you can think of it more as like a continuing series versus two different books. A series like, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so with that, I just want to encourage you to enjoy following Jesus throughout the Gospel of Luke, and remember to just be highlighting everything that Jesus did and said so you can get a better picture of who Jesus is. And remember, guys, this is the first part of a series. We're going to be jumping into Acts next.